An organization in the Brazos Valley showing kids with special needs that their disabilities don't have to stop them from having fun. That's up next. And a camp for Texas children with disabilities asking for support from the Brazos Valley. How you can contribute, that's coming up. Your KRHD News starts right now. Good evening and thanks for being with us on this Monday for KRHD News at 5. The afternoon rain today couldn't stop a group of kids with special needs from having a good time. Tonight, KRHD News reporter Rachel Espaillat shares one woman's mission to boost inclusion in the Brazos Valley.
Bowling is a family-friendly sport that people of all ages and abilities can enjoy, and that's why Avocation Therapy chose Grand Station for their first outing. Alex Chisholm steps up to the bowling lane with his sister Angelina. Move your feet. Ready to bowl.
He used to really struggle with it, and he used both of the ramp and the bumpers, and he couldn't get anything in. But now he's doing really good, and he beat me by 40 points.
Alex, who has autism, is on the Special Olympics bowling team. The pandemic prevented him from playing last year, but not even the typical bowling environment was an opponent at this sensory-friendly bowling event at Grand Station Entertainment.
If you notice, he has his little headphones on because he doesn't like a lot of noise. So he's a little extra sensitive to everything around him.
Avocation Therapy hit a strike working with Grand Station. The bowling center accommodated the group by opening earlier, lowering the music, and adjusting the lighting.
Anything can be adapted, you just have to have a little creativity.
We don't open to the public until noon typically, but we are able to host different groups and things before we open so that it is a little bit more calm, a little bit quieter.
This was the recreational therapist's first time hosting a group event, but plans to hold even more in the future.
I believe that people with disabilities deserve access to community resources and recreation, but sometimes they may need help to access those resources. So I am trying to break down those barriers. Helping
preteens and teenagers with special needs tap into their passions while knocking out obstacles. Good job. In College Station, Rachel Espaillat, KRHD News.
A body has been found in a car pulled from a creek in Richmond during the search for a missing Texas woman. Authorities say the vehicle matches the description of 41-year-old Allison Kempe's car. Fort Bend County deputies say the information suggests the body found inside is hers. Autopsy results are pending. Deputies say the search was difficult, but that the car became visible as water levels began to recede.
We're looking for damage, anything from where a vehicle might have went in. We didn't really see anything. We saw some slight tracks, but not a lot that would fit this vehicle. But then again, the rain and then the grass, when it dried, the grass popped back up, so we couldn't really see the trail.
That woman missing since Friday. She is also the mother of two young boys, ages 5 and 7. The woman accused of killing 5-year-old Samuel Olson appearing in court today with no lawyer. A judge found probable cause to charge Teresa Balboa with capital murder. The next step for the case is for it to be presented to a grand jury. That could take up to 90 days from now.
I'm just confident that we have the right person and that I will be able to meet my burden in getting justice.
The grand jury is tasked with making a determination based on that probable cause. The DA's office even weighing right now whether to pursue the death penalty. This is Balboa's first appearance in court since her charges were upgraded last week. A camp for Texas children with special needs is working to drum up support to give kids a unique experience. KRHD reporter Rebecca Fiedler has more tonight.
Sheriff Wayne Dickey represents our local area in recruiting for a camp known as the Texas Lions Camp. Today he spoke before the College Station Noon Lions Club about drumming up support for this camp. Sheriff Wayne Dickey, a member of Bryan Noon Lions Club, has been involved in helping with Texas Lions Camp for several years. The camp provides summer fun opportunities for children with physical limitations, diabetes, and Down syndrome. At least 7 Brazos Valley children have attended camp under the sponsorship of a local Lions Club in recent years. In a meeting at the College Station Hilton, Dickey spoke of his desire to recruit even more local families to attend.
When parents drop their kids off, there's a little of that anxiety about the first time that you leave a child somewhere. But at the award ceremony, there's no doubt that the kids, number one, have a great time, but two, they build some of that self-confidence and some of that can-do attitude.
Dickey also hopes to raise continued funding for the summer camp, both through Lions Club chapters and through the public at large. It costs over $1,800 to send a child to camp, but that fee never comes out of the pockets of the families in attendance. It's always covered through donations made through the Lions Club. If you're interested in learning more about this camp or making a donation online, visit lionscamp.com. Reporting in Brazos County, Rebecca Fiedler, KRHD News.
Now to a consumer alert on this Monday. GM is recalling more than 400,000 trucks because of a possible airbag explosion. Those trucks include 1,500, 2,500, and 3,500 series pickups made between 2015 and 2016. GMC and Chevy plan to notify owners next month if their vehicle is included. You can visit your local dealership for a free fix. As the economy reopens, rent prices are going up and up. Apartments.com says rent prices are up more than 7% so far this year, which is 3 times higher than what's typical. The surge is blamed on people returning to cities after staying with family and friends during the pandemic. Experts say the trend could continue because of the housing market that's forcing more people to consider renting instead of actually buying. AMC says more people came to movie theaters over the past weekend than at any other point during the pandemic. The theater chain reports 3.2 million moviegoers came to watch films between Thursday and Sunday. It marks the 3rd time since Memorial Day the theater chain has broken its post-pandemic attendance record. Some common car care ideas like when to get an oil change or when to change your tires, well, they're no longer true with today's newer cars. Tonight, consumer reporter John Matarese explains what many people get wrong so you don't waste your money.
As we head out for summer vacation, most of us check our cars before we go. But some car maintenance tips we've heard about for years turn out to be just myths. Susan Wenger and Kathy Gordon are fans of frequent oil changes.
Oil changed every 3,000 miles.
Tony Edwards knows the importance of rotating the tires.
You get the tires rotated? Every time I get an oil change.
But some longtime car care tips are no longer accurate, according to a new AAA report debunking common myths about car maintenance. Myth number 1, the 3,000-mile oil change.
With today's newer vehicles, that is absolutely not true. You can go about 5,000 to 7,000.
Russ Zelnowski manages a AAA auto center. He says myth number 2 is that car batteries last at least 5 years. Not with all of today's electronics.
Batteries, they're good for about 3 to 5.
Myth number 3, you must get your oil changes at the dealer or you void your warranty. Not true.
As long as you have information and proof that you've had the work done, they can't hold that against you.
Myth number 4, when to replace tires. One of the biggest misconceptions, AAA says, concerns when your tires are worn out. They say a lot of people still go by Grandpa's suggestion to use a coin in the tread. They say not anymore.
You're really starting to lose all the traction.
Russ says use the built-in tread wear bars, not a penny, but keep rotating them regularly. The final myth, that you don't need to change coolant or brake fluid in today's modern cars. You do, so don't waste your money. I'm John Matarese, 25 News.
Researchers say the rise in gun violence is not connected to the spike in gun sales that we've been seeing. This is according to a study from the Violence Prevention Research Program at the University of California, Davis. They say that most people who have purchased guns from the start of the pandemic until now were already gun owners. Instead, the study says that we should be looking at job loss, civil unrest, and closure of community organizations and schools as reasons behind the rise in gun violence. Now, the rise in ransomware attacks directed at U.S. companies is creating a demand for a new service from cybersecurity experts. Ransomware negotiators are helping companies reduce the cost of an attack and prevent future ones from happening.
This concept of let's make paying the ransom illegal. That's not fixing the problem. That's basically doing what happened to drugs in the United States. When you make something illegal, all it does is increase supply and demand and drive up the price. So all you're going to see is the ransom go up. We just need to step back and say, we got to do the work.
Now, as of right now, ransomware attacks are expected to cost organizations $20 billion this year alone. The early child tax credit payment should start hitting bank accounts this week. The monthly payments of $250 or $300, depending on the age of the child, start on Thursday. Now, the payments will continue through the end of the year. The IRS is automatically setting the payments based on 2019 and 2020 tax returns, or to those who use the non-filers tool to register. It's designed to help the lowest income families with children. Israel is now offering a COVID-19 booster shot. This story tops the news feed. It is the first country to offer a booster. It's a third dose shot of the Pfizer vaccine that's for people with weakened immune systems. Israel is also dealing with a Delta variant surge right now. And as cases rise in the United States, we could look to Israel's numbers as foreshadowing of what the U.S. will be seeing in the coming months. In Israel, 90% of new cases are the Delta variant, but the death rate does appear to be less than previous surges in the pandemic. As society reopens, it appears there is less momentum to pay essential workers hazard pay. The Associated Press says only about a third of states used federal relief money to reward workers who went to their jobs during the pandemic. The federal government did broaden the ability of state and local governments to use that relief money to pay workers.
And we did see some pretty good rains here across the Brazos Valley on our Monday. Yeah, the calendar says July, but it's not feeling a lot like it's 80 degrees. How about that? 83 is what it feels like, east-northeast winds at 8 miles per hour. And we will continue to see things improve visibility-wise, and it looks like the rain is pretty much done for the rest of this week. Maybe some isolated thunderstorms on the way, but you can see things are wrapping up as a lot of that activity is pushing east of I-45 now. And anything that was approaching from the north, well, that's dying out. So I do think we'll see some clouds through the evening hours, probably low clouds in the morning. But as far as any significant rain, I think that has passed us by. There are a few more thunderstorms here southeast of Dallas. Those look like they will die down, and more thunderstorms in West Texas are pushing back toward the west. So as things start to quiet down for us this evening, it does appear it'll all be over, even any sprinkles, by 10 o'clock. And then by 7 o'clock in the morning, we could see a few low clouds around areas that saw the heavier rain here in the Brazos Valley. Some patchy fog can't be ruled out. Then during the afternoon, an isolated thunderstorm threat will be possible, a few green dots here and there. And the same can be said on Wednesday, as we may see a few isolated thunderstorms around here and there. But again, splash and dash, 20% chances as we move through the next few days here. Not the widespread rain that we have become accustomed to over the past couple weeks. So tonight, temperatures into the low to mid 70s, 71 to 73 for most of us, maybe a few mid 70s down to the south. And then tomorrow, highs into the lower 90s. It is going to be a steamy one. Even though it'll be in the lower 90s, it'll feel like the mid to upper 90s when you factor in the humidity. And checking out your forecast here, highs into the lower 90s with isolated storm chances. And guess what? There could be some more rain chances next week.
A commercial airplane can burn a few gallons of fuel per mile. That is a lot compared to, for example, what your car burns on the way to work. Chloe Nordquist shows us a group of scientists looking at how they can make fuel more sustainable, efficient, and cost-effective.
It's very hard to bring these huge engines to run on other things when they carry that much weight.
Fuel is a big polluter of the environment, and the aviation industry uses a lot of it.
As modern societies, we're particularly good at producing trash.
Port of Seattle Commission President Fred Fellman says they are working on getting away from petroleum-based fuel products in pursuit of fuels made with feedstock or grease and waste oils. The port's goal is to power every flight in and out of here with at least 10% blend of sustainable aviation fuel by 2028.
The airlines see the writing on the walls. If they want to be able to continue to fly in this ever-increasingly warmer climate planet, they're going to have to get to this new fuel source.
Inside this lab, scientists and engineers have been working to solve multiple problems at once by turning recycled plastics into fuel.
In this process, we break with the plastic to smaller molecules.
The process can convert 90% of plastic to jet fuel components or other hydrocarbon products in just an hour with the help of heat, a solvent, and a catalyst.
We consider as a waste, right? But from the other perspective, it actually is an energy source or chemical source. It can be used as a raw materials, and then we can convert those raw materials to value-added products.
However, Hongfei Lin says not all plastic is the same, and some are better than others.
The plastic that we used to convert them to the jet jet fuel is this plastic. It's called high density polyethylene.
The final product looks just like this and could be used as part of a fuel mixture.
Your carbon molecules it kind of have a long chain, like carbon, they stitch it together and becomes a long chain molecule. And the plastic is very long chain. Right? And for the jet fuel, it actually is a medium chain with hydrocarbons.
This is the idea of chemical recycling.
Instead of breaking them and melting them, making plastic, well, we clean the plastic and then we break down the molecule to remake new polymers. So this is called like chemical recycling instead of mechanical recycling.
Sustainability expert Anik Ansil says when it comes to the idea of chemical recycling plastic, the big challenge currently is efficiency.
Instead of recycling them, if we can break down the molecules and go back and make high quality polymer again, instead of trying to downcycle the plastic into other products.
While plastics are being given new life, this process still has one caveat. Plastic is originally made from fossil fuel, meaning when it's converted, it's not considered a low-carbon fuel. But Hong Fei says that could change if plastics are made differently.
We can make plastics from biomass, which is renewable.
And this fuel could still provide a cheaper choice.
So far, it will reduce the cost.
As alternative, more sustainable fuel options become more common, airports and airlines are ready to embrace the change.
We've been working at this for over a decade, and we are now at the verge of really being able to get to the next step and having our ability to have fuel in the pipeline, into the tanks.
I'm Chloe Nordquist reporting.
Chloe, thank you. And finally in our lineup, tipping for takeout can be a little unclear since you don't get the same service as you would at a sit-down restaurant. We're taking a look at just how much you should be leaving. A lot of us have relied on takeout or delivery during the pandemic, but our tipping habits haven't necessarily kept up, even with the difficult year the restaurant industry has had.
We found that more than 4 in 10 people said that they're going to support local businesses more and they're going to tip better. That sounds great. The thing is, though, last year, even more people told us that. And we've done this tipping survey many years running now, and we really haven't seen the overall numbers budge much at all.
A new survey on tipping out today from creditcards.com finds only 17% of people who pick up takeout always tip. For food delivery, a little over half of people are tipping all the time. It can be unclear just how much you should be tipping in these cases because you're not receiving the same service as a sit-down restaurant.
For takeout, I don't think you always have to tip. I think this is one where if the restaurant is primarily a takeout business, there's maybe not as much of an expectation. But if it's more of a sit-down restaurant that just happens to be offering takeout, that's a time when it might be nice to tip something like 10% to show appreciation for the staff, but also to acknowledge that they put the work in and they probably juggled this among other things.
The survey found on average among the people tipping when they're picking up food, they're leaving 15%. It's 17% for food delivery and 20% at a sit-down restaurant.
Unfortunately, if you're not tipping well, you're not really sticking it to the business. You're actually hurting that hardworking person who really relies on these tips to get by. So I think that, this gets very confusing and a lot of people kind of get this wrapped up into other issues. But at the end of the day, I think if you can afford to, it's nice to tip a little bit better because these people work hard. They often don't get paid that much and they've had a tough year.
It is summer vacation across most of the country. Libraries and schools are sitting empty. But as we move into the fall, testing for COVID-19 is starting to ramp up again. I'm Chris Conti, and tomorrow we'll show you why that's so important in keeping schools open.